This is John Schubert, JohnSchubert. My email address is john.schubert, SCHUBERT, at Spirent, SPIRENT.com. And this is a brief video on how to download STC Virtual. So that is Spirent Test Center Virtual using our website. So let's get going. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to start off at support.spirent.com. I always recommend using Google. However, I'm on a Mac, so this demonstration is in Safari, but I think Google is easier to manage downloads once it begins, as opposed to Internet Explorer, Edge, whatever it's called these days. You're going to be able to log in. So log in using whatever you have registered with for your credentials for the software. And as soon as this comes up, you're going to notice that you have a presentation of multiple things here on the left. You may not have all of these. These are the ones that I have permissions for. So to get to the software downloads, we're going to go to this icon here. It says downloads. Click on downloads. And then the next website we're going to get is a EULA agreement. This is not to be exported outside of the US in certain circumstances. So just hit accept. Okay, so the way that this navigation works, you start top left, work your way down, then come over here. Any other order, you're going to be redoing work. So general release is, generally speaking, the current release. In some cases, you might find n-1. So if something's on, let's say 5.35, for a brief time, you might still see 5.34. Generally speaking, so whatever the current release is here. Controlled, that's going to be for export controlled releases, such as cybersecurity products, such as CyberFlood. So CyberFlood Virtual would be under controlled release. Spirent Test Center would not. Archived release. So as the name implies, anything n-1 or older, so whatever we're currently on and older, should be, caveat, should be in archived response. If you don't see it here and it's a relatively new release, come take a look back at general. But in this case, we are going to be downloading 5.24 virtual. So we're going to go to archived release. It's going to take a few seconds, give like a good 5 count. And now we can select the product line. So we're going to select Spirent Test Center right here. Click on this. Again, give it about a 5 count. And here we are with categories. In this case, since we're talking about CyberFlood Virtual, we're going to check mark Virtual. Give it a 5 count. And now we can go in and we can choose our hypervisor. So generally what I'll do is I'll just check mark both. When you click on one, give it a 5 count, come back, select the second one. So now basically any VMware ESXi is now going to be displayed. In this case, since we're targeting 5.24, now we're going to come to release. Now, if you were noticing a few moments ago, these came up earlier. The problem is if I come in here and I select the version, it's going to undo what I did here. So now that all of this is the way that we want it, and we're going to come back here and we're going to select 5.24. 5.24. Give it a 5 count or less. And here we are. So we've got 5.24 virtual lab server. So lab server is for when you do remote automation using like API scripts and things like that. So if you're doing Java, REST interfaces, things like that, that's when you're going to use something like lab server. In this case, we're not using it. Now we're going to go to virtual machine, Spirent Center virtual machine 5.24 for VMware. Now, when we click on these, you're going to notice certain things pop up below. So if your security posture is such that you verify when you do the download, this should be your checksum. It should verify that it matches whenever you download. It's just telling you the name of the file, .ova. It's a virtual test center. It's from an archive release. Description, just basically that. This download includes your VM for VMware, in this case, ESXi. Related resources. This is going to be where you have new features for 5.24, your hardware and software release notes, your Aon licensing quick start guide. In this case, we're not doing Aon licensing. And then finally, the Spirent virtual quick start guide. So that's going to be something you want to come back to when it comes time to install the virtual test machine. And then finally, product alerts. Spirent TestCenter virtual license change product alert. Okay, so now that we know that this is here, we're going to download the OVA file. So just click on it, log in as your VM manager. You're going to go to your virtual machines, create a VM, create a new virtual machine from OVA file, hit next, give it a name. So you could call it STCv, and in this case 5.24. And that's just so that later on, if you go to a different version, you could spin this down, have it in reserve, and then spin up whatever the newer version is. So hit next. And so you would select the file that we download, go to next. You're going to make sure that you've got enough capacity. Refer back to the documentation to go through and get the specifics on how to set this up. And then hit ready, and then you're going to hit finish, and it's going to install the OVA. And basically at that point, you have created the STC virtual endpoint. So now we're going to go to related resources and virtual quick start guide. All right, so this is the Spirent TestCenter virtual quick start guide. We're going to go through it, and we're going to set it up via these instructions. We are not doing the dongle. We will be getting a UUID. That UUID is what we use to create the demo license or the final license whenever it's purchased. Okay, now returning back to downloads at SpirentSupport.com, go to downloads, and this is to download the virtual controller, which is the same as license server. Virtual controller, license server, basically the same thing. And so from here, we're going to go to general release because it's still the current version. We're going to go to Spirent TestCenter. So we're going to go to downloads, general release. You can see it's already here, but I'm still going to do it. Spirent TestCenter. And this says VM with dongle, but it's also using a UUID. So newer products do not need a dongle. So just like we saw before, we have details with an MD5 checksum, name of the file. We have a description, what is it, related resources. So in this case, it's going to be the Spirent virtual dongle UUID quick start guide. This is going to help you install this. So you're going to go again, just like you did before, download the OVA, go into your VM manager, and kick off the installation process for the OVA. So once you log in, and again, you're going to log in as admin for the username. Your password is going to be SPT underscore admin, all lowercase. Please don't change this. I even go so far as to paste this into my comments in my VM manager, because if someone's in your VM manager, it's probably someone trusted, but everybody's security posture is a little bit different. It's just my suggestion. So whenever this Spirent virtual controller, aka license server, is installed, and then you log into the management port, you're going to see this line here, UU, uniform, India, Delta, and then this string. So whenever this comes up, send me this string, and then that's what I will use to request the demo license. So again, this was just real quick how to get STC virtual going. It's John Schubert, sales engineer, john.schubert@spirent.com. So thank you for your time. Have a great day.